Welcome back to a special episode of the Hella Inspired Podcast. Today we're here with Jayden Williams, the youngest mayor in the history of Stockbridge, Georgia. How you feeling? Has it sunk in yet?
You know, it hadn't sunk in yet, but let me say, Jordan, thank you for having me on the Inspired Podcast.
100%.
And I'm just here as mayor, ready to do the work.
Definitely. What has been the most unexpected part since being elected?
Man. Well, I guess the history that comes along with it. Just kind of getting a glimpse of the true meaning and understanding of what Stockbridge is. The office that we're in right now is kind of a newer office, but this is the office of the mayor, when in reality, that used to be the old city hall. So getting the opportunity to see the legacy and the progression of what Stockbridge is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city, beautiful day here and everything. So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, is one of the oldest and most important civil rights organizations in the history of America. Jayden here was the state president of Georgia, serving over 159 counties. How did you get to that point of joining the NAACP and eventually becoming state president?
Yeah, I actually started and rechartered the Henry County NAACP Youth Council at the age of 13, along with my grandmother, who was the first vice president at the time. Kind of just took the reins from there, went on and did some of that work at Clark Atlanta University as the chapter's president, the Mr. CAU NAACP, and then ultimately ended up running for state conference president. And the road just kind of tells it from there. I've done a lot of great strides for young people in the area. I think one of my best accomplishments was getting over $25,000 in grant money to make sure that our young people can be engaged in their local government. But as the Youth and College Division state president, we were giving that funding for them to engage members, pay for members' membership, and then also go to the National Convention, which is where we recognize the accomplishments as the oldest, largest civil rights organization in the country.
Wow. Was there any initial pushback from members in the state of Georgia in the NAACP?
Absolutely not. NAACP is a training ground for grassroots organizers and civic leaders. Okay. So it was like, hey, we welcome in that youthfulness, that young opportunity. But again, that stepping stone comes from the Youth and College Division, and you age out and you go into the NAACP in our adult branches. So it's a training facility for what's to come.
Moving on a couple of years, you ended up at Clark Atlanta University. What made you decide to go to HBCU?
I mean, there's no place in the world like an HBCU, especially Clark Atlanta University. I'm just throwing it out there. But my number one thing was I wanted to go somewhere where I could learn my history, our history, understand our collective power, and understand the meaning of political science in that power. So why not go to the best school to learn political science, Clark Atlanta?
100%. And while you were at Clark, you were watching council meetings from back home in Henry County, and you thought, this isn't the standard that I see at Clark Atlanta translating into back home. So what was that process, and what did you mean by that?
Well, when I said that, I was referring to this isn't the standard that I left Stockbridge when I went to Clark Atlanta. It wasn't the understanding that our council functioned together. It wasn't the understanding that we had members of our leadership actually going back and giving back to the community. Honestly, before I left, this was a community that was for the people. Going to Clark Atlanta, I saw a city that was focused on parties and concerts more than doing the work for the city and the citizens. And so when I say the standard, that standard is us pouring back. We are servants. We aren't just mayor and council members. We are servants in the role that's going to be here whether we're here or not.
Exactly.
And so for us to understand that when we move forward, we're moving forward for the servants who elected us in these seats to do the job that they've allowed us to do.
Yeah. So when was that moment when you first announced, okay, I'm going to run for mayor?
It was actually 2024. I announced literally on my birthday that I was going to run for mayor. I had like 10 people come meet me at a small event hall, and I said, hey, I need some money. We raised maybe about $3,000 that night. 2 days later, I did my public official announcement where I let the community know that I was running, and I was willing to be all in for Stockbridge, but also make sure that you all have an opportunity to meet me. I didn't want them to say, oh, this is just some random boy running against the incumbent. I'm from Stockbridge, raised in Stockbridge, so I wanted them to see that part, but also I want them to see I don't mind getting my hands dirty. The mayor is not just being an advocate, but it's also you being able to say, hey, Ms. Rose down on Banks Road, I come help you put some collard greens in your yard. You doing your garden today? Let me help you take some stuff to your car. That's the type of servant leadership we want to see. And that's what I want to see right here in the mayor's office.
Definitely. I came to your ball over the weekend, which was an amazing event, great food, great performances. And had conversations with a few people, and they said this was destined for you, and this was always written in your story. What does the support from the community feel like?
It feels like to me that the city was ready for some change.
Yes.
But the city was also ready to see the next generation stand up for what's to come. Yeah. I really believe, and I didn't expect and didn't even know actually that I was the youngest mayor, or African-American mayor in the state of Georgia until maybe 2 or 3 weeks after the election results.
Definitely.
I knew I was the youngest in the state because everybody else is white. If I'm gonna be completely honest with you. My predecessor was the first African-American mayor, and then I come in the youngest black mayor. It's like, okay, we're doing something right.
Exactly.
So I mean, honestly, just that community support is really what's going to be the driving force behind my office, and hopefully the work that we do as mayor and council on the Diaz.
Yeah. And while you were running for mayor, you were still doing your undergrad at Clark. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So how's that process of in class speaking with your professors, but also running against an incumbent who has great pull in the community?
Well, that goes back to what you dedicate your time management to and how dedicated you are to doing it.
I'm still working on that.
Yeah. I love to say, oh, I'm gonna do it. Sure. Let's see how long that lasts. But I took that 35-minute drive faithfully. And that, coming from Atlanta to Stockbridge, we're only technically 25 minutes away. But when it's traffic, that goes from 20 minutes to 30, 45. And I'm like, dang, I got to get to this event. I'm late. But I mean, again, it's your commitment and the fact that I said, hey, I want to do it anyway. So I would tell my teachers, look, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Mark me absent, mark me tardy, do what you have to do. But I'm planning something outside of the work that I do and the scope that I'm doing at Clark. But luckily, as a political science major, it wasn't a lot of us. So they were open and receptive to the thought that I was running for office. And it was actually 2 of us in my class, somebody that also ran for Atlanta Public Schools the same time I did.
Okay, that's cool. Being in a race against a 2-term incumbent teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
What did running against Mayor Ford teach you about leadership, the city, and even yourself?
Well, I have to give him credit for the work that he's done, because not only was he the mayor, but he was a council member. So he's actually served the city for over 12 years. Okay. One of the things that I've learned running against him was it's all about the people. And it's all about how you treat them and how you connect with them. For me, it wasn't about signs. I bought 250 signs and said, that's it, I'm not buying no more. But what I did do was I held some outside. I stopped at the gas stations and said, hey, let me put some cards right here. Let me get these to you while you're pumping your gas. When I'm at Walmart, I'm like, hey, before you go in, let me give you this. I took the time to talk. And as the mayor, now it's my turn to listen. So I did the talk so that I can sit back and actually listen to what the constituents want us to do. What do they want to see in the city? And that's going to be the goal in this capacity for me. And one of the things I've learned, I've had the opportunity to talk. Now I got to listen.
And there's a conversation going around about the previous generation kind of versus our generation. I don't like saying versus, but sometimes it can be perceived that way.
Yeah.
One thing I admire about you is you show up unapologetic in every room you're in, and you represent Gen Z to the fullest. So how do you feel that you've been received by the previous generation?
I have to say that the voting population wasn't just Gen Z. I beat a 2-time incumbent, like you said, with almost 54% of the vote. Yeah. And that's big, because that shows not just my generation came out to vote, but every generation had a part in that. And I tell people all the time, and what I'll be saying for the next 4 years, whether you voted for me or not, I'm not here to represent the people that voted for me. I'm here to represent the people of Stockbridge. And so that's really the number one thing I can say to them. And the older generation, there's no mix in between. I may be a Gen Z, that may be my enlistment, but I'm going to do the work of the people regardless.
Mm-hmm. And you have family members who have held public office. Mm-hmm. And I had a conversation with your father over the weekend. How big is family for you?
Family is everything. And in a capacity like this, where it may be part-time on paper, but in reality, it's a full-time job. We have to understand that you have to have that balance between personal and city work or business. And so for me, that personal aspect comes back to me just tying back in and giving back to my family just as much as I'm giving to the city.
So you've named strengthening economic development and supporting the next generation as key missions during your whole campaign.
Mm-hmm.
How do you turn that from vision into action?
Yeah, so what we're doing is I'm working rather with our city team to see where we are. Mm-hmm. And since our comprehensive plan that was set before my term was coming to an end at this term, I now have a hand in seeing what our comprehensive plan for the future of Stockbridge can look like, because it'll be during my term. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'm doing in regards to economic development is seeing where we are and seeing what we can do with future opportunities, and see how I can implement even some of my platform points, some of the council members that ran with me, their platform points, into one economic drive for our city. In regards to young people, I told you I announced on day one I was able and have the opportunity still currently to pay off the student lunch debt so that our scholars can eat in the county. Yeah. That was huge. Nobody in the county has done that. Yeah. However, I'm only paying for my schools in Stockbridge, in partnership with the Henry County School Board, but I'm also challenging my sister cities, McDonough, Locust Grove, Hampton, to do the same for their schools in their city. That's just one stepping stone for what we plan to do. We're building the Henry County School Board is building a $73 million STEM school right across the street from my city hall. How can I make sure this area is safe and accommodable for that next generation? How can I bring the Georgia State University, the Morehouse College, the Clark Atlantas, the Spelman, the Morris Brown to do satellite opportunities and campuses down here so that we can have those stages and those platforms right here in the city of Stockbridge?
If at the end of your term, if there is one word that you want people to use to describe it, what would that be?
Collaborative. The number one way that we get stuff done, whether it's collaborating on the dais, whether it's collaborating in the community, is that we're all working together. So I want them to remember me for being a collaborative mayor.
This whole platform is about inspiring the next generation of leaders. What is one message you could give to the next generation that's maybe scared to lead, but they feel something in their heart that they want to start?
I would simply go back to what I've been saying the entire campaign team. Shirley Chisholm said, if you don't have a seat at the table, you bring a folding chair. Now at my swearing in, I said, we're bringing the wood, we're going to build the table, we're going to make it wide enough for everyone. But as mayor, I'm saying if they don't give you a seat at the table, take their seat, because clearly they ain't doing something right.
That part.
And so that would be my number one thing to tell the next generation and our generation. If they aren't going to do it, we stand up and do it.
100%. What inspires you?
Oh man, my family, the next generation of my family, and my faith. My faith is, as you can see, I got a Bible on my desk table because that keeps me grounded and that inspires me to keep going. Yeah. Because who that's 100 years old building an ark nowadays? Right.
Yeah. What verse in the Bible do you say keeps you going every day?
Oh man, I couldn't give you a verse, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I keep Psalms 27 right here open. So that even when I'm in the Bible, if I'm sitting here, I'm frustrated or something happens, I can always come back and refer to it.
Well, I just want to say, Jayden, I'm inspired by you and everything that you're building, and you have my support. Everyone around me is supporting you, and I wish you the best with your term and everything you have going on.
Thank you.
Definitely. I appreciate you for your time. I know you're a busy man. And thank you for tuning in to the Hell Inspired podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.